My Hero Academia's Pro Hero arc was finally wrapped up in Season 5 of the My Hero Academia anime, and for today's video I wanted to start a new series on the channel where I go through the entirety of a certain arc in the anime and compare it to the manga to see what exactly was changed, left out, or perhaps done better. With that said, welcome to the first episode of My Hero Academia Anime vs Manga Comparison. In this video we will be going over the entirety of the Pro Hero arc. So, the Pro Hero arc starts in Season 4, Episode 87 of the anime titled Japanese Hero Billboard Chart, which is the title of Chapter 184, which also just so happens to be when the arc started in the manga. Starting this off with the first appearance of the high-end Nomu, which prior to the high-end's reveal, the anime adaptation of the Hero Billboard Chart was pretty much the same as it was in the manga. So, in the anime, after Hawks brings up the topic of teaming up with Endeavor due to Nomu's being sighted in his city, we are immediately shown Dabi opening a door in what looks to be in some storage area, revealing the high-end Nomu for the first time, with him stating, "The ones before didn't really understand, but I've got high hopes for you, high-end." After that, we are then taken to Kyushu. In the manga though, after Hawks talks about teaming up, we get a few panels showing the Kyushu district, then the Hidimari kindergarten, with another panel showing us the inside of the kindergarten, which is then followed up by a panel showing someone's leg and the high-end Nomu in what looks to be in a classroom, with that mystery person saying, "You were clueless before, but I expect more this time, high-end." Then we get a close-up of the Nomu where it then responds back to the mystery person saying, "Won't let you down." Now, the anime changed this scene up a lot by removing that build-up to the kindergarten, removing the mystery as to who was talking to the Nomu, and completely removing the Nomu responding back to Dabi, which I feel the anime's adaptation of the reveal of the high-end Nomu completely removes that ominous feeling that the manga had. The fact that Dabi is immediately shown to be the one to let out the high-end completely ruins the mystery and the surprise of him showing up at the end of the arc to retrieve the high-end's body. Changing the location of where the high-end was being kept also makes it way less scarier as well. The thought of a Nomu being kept in a kindergarten is honestly frightening, whereas it being kept in a random storage room feels a lot more basic and cliche. Also, the Nomu not talking back to Dabi removes that shock value of a Nomu being capable of speech. In the anime, when the Nomu flies into the restaurant and talks for the first time, it feels like we should have gotten a scene of the Nomu talking before he starts to fight Endeavor and Hawks. It's honestly crazy how a few changes to scenes / panels can really change how a reveal feels. But coming up next, right after the high-end reveal, we got Hawks taking down the Flasher. Here we have a relatively small change, with this change being a welcome one. In the manga, when the Flasher is reflecting about his life, all we really get to see is the Meta Liberation War book, which is the book that inspired him to launch an attack on the company he worked at. But in the anime, when the Flasher is reflecting about his life, we get 2 extra scenes giving us a better look into the Flasher's life prior to him attacking the company before seeing the Meta Liberation War book. And for me, it's little anime only additions like this that can really help enhance a story, even though if it's a story for a relatively small character like the Flasher. Next, we have a small continuity error when Endeavor and Hawks are in the restaurant and Endeavor asks for the check, but it sadly never arrives. In the anime, when Endeavor asks Hawks if he has proof about the Nomu sightings being real and not just rumors, Hawks then responds by telling Endeavor that he has no proof and that they really are just rumors. This then leads to a pretty funny moment where Endeavor, upon hearing this, gets angry and immediately asks for the check so he can leave. Hawks then further explains himself to Endeavor, and after this, both Hawks and Endeavor spot the high-end Nomu flying towards them, and right before the Nomu flies into the restaurant, the server walks in bringing them drinks. Nani? This doesn't make any sense continuity wise because Endeavor asked for the bill. In the manga though, before the Nomu flies into the restaurant, the server actually does bring them the bill / check. Rumor has it that Anime Endeavor is still waiting for that check till this day. The next and final change in episode 87 happens after the high-end crashes into the restaurant's window. When the high-end crashes into the window and asks who is the strongest, Endeavor tells Hawks to evacuate everyone. He then gears up for an attack saying, "They weren't just rumors, huh? Must be my lucky day. Oh well, either way, this is what I came for." The Nomu from the outside of the building then moves its left arm about an inch and is instantly attacked by Endeavor using Flash Fire Fist Jet Burn. In the manga, this scene is a lot better. When Endeavor tells Hawks to get the lady to safety, we see the high end actually gearing up its left arm, showing the muscle fibers on the Nomu's arm moving and wrapping around the arm, preparing for a powerful strike. The next panel then shows Endeavor gearing up for an attack as well, with him saying, "Some rumors are true, huh? It's your lucky day, pal. Here we go." Then both Endeavor and the high end attack each other at the same time, as Endeavor continues to say, "Cause I came looking for a fight." And of course, Endeavor lands the first blow on the high end using Flash Fire Fist Jet Burn. Both episode 87 and chapter 186 end with Endeavor in the air. To me, the manga did this scene way better because the Nomu feels a lot more savage. You already knew that the Nomu wanted all of that smoke from Endeavor, with him immediately going for an attack as soon as he crashes into the window. Also, I really feel like Endeavor's lines were just a lot more badass in the manga than in the anime. I mean, come on, the manga literally has Endeavor say to the Nomu at the end of the chapter, "You want number one, you got him," while the anime has Endeavor say, "Come, I'll show you who I am." Like, what kind of weak ass line is that? It's little details like this being removed and changed in the anime that makes all the difference between the manga and anime adaptation, for me at least. With that said, episode 87 covers a total of 3 chapters entirely, with them chapters being 184, 185, and 186. Moving on, we have season 4 episode 88 titled His Start. The first change in this episode comes right after Endeavor uses Flash Fire Fist Hell Spider on the Nomu and the building behind it. Here in the anime, they remove a line from the Nomu where he says "fun fun" after he gets diced up by Endeavor's move. Even though the Nomu is seen smiling after losing its limbs, removing that line removes a little bit of the Hood's, which is the Nomu's name, psychotic personality, which was honestly a fun little detail that was given to us in the manga. Another thing that was removed in the anime was the ground heroes giving praise to Endeavor for being able to cut a large part of the building into pieces with just his fire. After Endeavor almost gets one-shotted by Hood, the anime doesn't adapt the scene where Aizawa tries to make sure Eri doesn't see the news and says that he is going to see Todoroki. The anime also removed Hawks' dialogue after having taken down the 2 Nomu that were attacking the citizens. Here, instead of hearing Hawks talk and give orders to the other heroes, we just hear the news reporting the situation over that scene. After this, when Endeavor is tossed into a building by Hood, the anime removes these 2 ground heroes' reactions. Now, when Endeavor punches Hood in the mouth, the anime removes the glass shattering effect that happens when the punch connects and goes through the inside of its mouth. The next change that happens comes right after Endeavor's plus ultra prominence burn. When Endeavor and Hood are falling from the sky, we see the reactions of everyone. The anime removes a scene that was supposed to show a mysterious figure, that being Dabi, looking at Endeavor and Hood falling from a distance. The anime also removed these 2 heroes trying to help cushion Endeavor's fall, as well as Hawks running to go help Endeavor. Now, after Endeavor is shown in his victory pose, episode 88 ends with Deku narrating, which actually doesn't happen in the manga at all. The arc was actually still meant to continue going on, with the appearance of Dabi being the next big thing that happens right after the fight. Now, with episode 88 being the last episode of season 4, Deku narrating at the end of Endeavor's fight was meant to just send us off with a reminder that this is just the start for Endeavor as the new #1 hero. But if I'm going to be honest, they really should have just ended season 4 on a cliffhanger with Dabi showing up instead of ending the episode with Deku narrating for 5 seconds. So that way, season 5 5 could have just continued right where season 4 left off, instead of how season 5 originally continued, with it sort of rushing through the Dabi portion of the arc. But before we move on to season 5 episode 90, episode 88 covers a total of about 4 chapters, with them chapters being 187, 188, 189, and 13 pages of chapter 190. Now moving on, we have season 5 episode 90 titled Vestiges, which is the episode that finally wraps up the Pro Hero arc. Now with the Pro Hero arc finally being able to wrap up a whole season later, there are tons of changes with how the anime went about adapting the Dabi portion of the Pro Hero arc. The first big change being that the episode opens with Endeavor already in the hospital, which isn't how things go chronologically. Now, like I said earlier, after Endeavor defeats Hood in the anime, the arc was still meant to continue going on, with Dabi showing up to collect the Nomu's body, with season 4 having Deku narrating at the end of the episode and teasing the vestiges, making it seem like the arc was supposed to end at the end of the Endeavor versus Hood fight. Season 5 needed a way to take us back to the end of that fight, and what better way to do it than to start the season with Endeavor already in the hospital having a flashback to what happened after his fight with the High End. But the anime does make a big change with how the flashback starts though, with Dabi already walking towards Endeavor and Hawks saying, "I didn't think you'd be here." This is a huge change because the anime picks up on chapter 191 and doesn't adapt the last 2 pages of chapter 190, where season 4 left off on. In the last 2 pages of chapter 190, Hawks helps Endeavor stand, and they talk about how Endeavor did All Might's victory pose back in Camino, but with his right hand instead of his left, like All Might. Endeavor then talks about how this was a bad start to him being the #1 hero, but Hawks disagrees with him, saying that his victory was absolutely huge. After this, their conversation is then interrupted by Dabi showing up, and the chapter ends with Dabi saying, "Well, Endeavor, should I say nice to meet you?" And here I think we can all agree that season 4 really should have just ended with this being the cliffhanger. That way we could have gotten those last 2 pages of chapter 190 adapted instead of getting Deku narrating for 5 seconds. The next change comes after Dabi surrounds the area with his fire. Here the anime removes almost a whole page worth of the reactions of the ground heroes, as well as the news covering the event, and most importantly the reactions of Todoroki and his classmates when seeing Dabi, which I really don't like the removal of the Todoroki reaction because he has somewhat of a history with Dabi, with both of them having an interesting interaction back in the Forest Training Camp arc when Dabi knew Todoroki by his full name, just like how Dabi knows Endeavor by his full name too in the Pro Hero arc. After this, the anime makes 2 small changes after Dabi gets teleported out of Kyushu, with the first change removing Hawks calling back his last big feather like he did in the manga when Mirko attempted to kick Dabi as he was being teleported away. This to me is an odd change, mostly because it doesn't explain why he has a big feather later when he meets up with Dabi later in the episode. They also remove Mirko holding her leg after the kick, but her lines remain the same in the anime. The anime then removes the reactions of everyone again when Dabi is no longer a threat due to him leaving. In the manga, after Dabi leaves and the day seems to be saved, Endeavor passes out. In the anime, however, before the flashback ends, Endeavor is given a line of dialogue and he doesn't seem to pass out from his injuries. Instead, the flashback just ends and we are then back at the hospital with him staring at the ceiling. Now, Hawks' meeting with Dabi and Dabi tearing up blood are basically the same in both the manga and anime adaptation. The next change does come though when Endeavor is discharged from the hospital and both him and Hawks are walking to the station together. Here they remove almost the entire first page of chapter 192, which removes the recovery girl scene showing that she helped Endeavor recover faster after his battle and surgery, which is how he was able to keep his left eye in the first place. This is a weird removal since it does explain why he was able to leave the hospital in only just 2 days, especially after all the injuries he gained after his fight with Hood. There was also a panel on this first page that explained what happened to Mirko after Dabi was teleported away, where she decided to go search for the League and she hopped off away. Shame on the anime for removing extra scenes of best girl, well, I guess it would be considered best grandma recovery girl and waifu Mirko, or depending on your taste, waifu recovery girl. Okay, I'll stop, I promise. After this, during Endeavor and Hawks' conversation, the anime removes most of Hawks' inside thoughts. This is a relatively small change, but Hawks' thoughts really gave readers for the manga more insight into how bad Hawks actually felt about not being able to tell Endeavor the truth about him being in contact with the League. Now, the next change is a welcome one, since the anime gives us a little extra scene after the Todoroki family dinner disaster. So in the manga, after Natsu snaps at Endeavor for being a bad father, he excuses himself from the dinner table and leaves. Endeavor does some reflecting on himself and how it's too late to really ask for forgiveness from his family, so he also leaves as well, apologizing to Fuyumi for all the trouble he caused. And before taking us back to Yue and Deku, the arc then leaves the Todoroki family with Endeavor walking away, realizing that he needs to atone for all the pain that he caused. In the anime, however, when he walks away, instead of going back to Yue like in the manga, we actually get an extra scene in the anime showing Endeavor going towards a sad looking Natsu outside. Even though it's a small addition, it's a nice little touch to the scene. It shows that he is changing and that he really is going to try and atone for everything he's done. Finally, we have the One for All World dream sequence. Surprisingly enough, not much is really changed in the anime adaptation of the dream sequence apart from 3 little changes. The first change being that when All for One is talking to the crowd of people in the flashback, the anime removed a whole page from chapter 193 of All for One helping / recruiting people to his side, and this page was really dark. I'm actually kind of sad that this page didn't make the cut because it really shows just how chaotic things were back during the advent of the extraordinary, and just how desperate and easily manipulated people were when it came to All for One and his offers. The second change, which isn't all that crazy but I figured I should mention it anyways, is that the building that All for One's followers blew up in the flashback was actually a small building in the manga rather than a random floor of a skyscraper in the anime. It was a weird change, but it honestly doesn't make a difference either way because the point that the scene was trying to get across was that All for One didn't have to tell them to do it, they went off of his will. Finally, the last change in the One for All World dream sequence, which is also the final change in the Pro Hero arc, is the removal of Aoyama getting woken up from his beauty sleep by One for All messing up Deku's room. Poor Aoyama. Like seriously, I feel bad for this character because first his classmates won't let him get any screen time, and now the anime won't let him get any screen time either. It's kind of funny and ironic at the same time. With that said, season 5 episode 90 and chapter 193 marked the end of the Pro Hero arc. Episode 90 covered a total of 3 chapters, with them chapters being 191, 192, and 193. The Pro Hero arc itself is 10 chapters long, with all of the chapters being listed on screen, which this arc is pretty short, but it's a really good arc in my opinion. Definitely one of the best arcs in the series so far. Keywords here being one of. Definitely let me know what you all thought of the Pro Hero arc and the new anime versus manga comparison series in the comment section below. Did you like the Pro Hero arc? Are you surprised to see that there were so many changes in this arc in the anime adaptation? Which one do you think did it better, the anime or the manga? Let me know everything in the comment section below. For me, the source material, that being the manga, definitely did the Pro Hero arc way better. The anime, I feel, really lacked the overall tone and the mystery that the manga had in this arc due to the anime removing and changing up a lot of the scenes from the manga. I will give the anime props though for the action and animation, because the Endeavor versus Hood fight was definitely jaw-dropping, especially since the main fight took place during season 4, and we all know that season 4 was really lacking in the animation department at the time, so I'm really glad the Endeavor versus Hood fight got good quality animation. So that concludes today's episode of My Hero Academia anime versus manga comparison, where in this video we looked at the entirety of the Pro Hero arc. I hope you all look forward to what comes next, since we will will be going over the rest of season 5, starting with the joint training arc as well as the My Villain Academia arc, and eventually we will be going over the rest of the series after that. So if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to Detroit smash that like button below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. If you are new to the channel and you want to see more My Hero Academia content and you don't want to miss the next My Hero Academia anime versus manga comparison video, then be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on to join the Kitoroki Hero Academia to become My Hero. Doing all of this really does help the channel out a lot, and it's always appreciated. Remember to stay plus ultra, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.